Start by securing your thread to the hook and then wrap it to about the middle of the shank and then snip off the excess thread. Next, we're going to secure in some black foam. Secure that down at half the length of the shank and then continue to secure it down back to the bend of the hook. We're going to wrap our thread back forward and then back to the bend of the hook one more time just to make sure this foam is nice and secure. And once it is, we're going to double over the foam right at the end, creating a nice little egg sac that the Skwalla is known for. Once that's nice and secure and created, snip off the excess. Next, we're going to tie in some back feelers made out of crystal flash. Secure those in on top of the shank of the hook and then secure them down by pulling them on either side of the egg sac. Once it's nice and secure, snip them down to size. Now it's time to add some dubbing. The color we're using is olive brown for our Skwalla pattern. But once you have it nice and dubbed on, begin to wrap the dub around the shank of the hook all the way up to about 2/3 the length of the shank. And once you've reached that point, we're going to tie in our CDC wing. Spooning together about 3 feathers of CDC, we're going to match the tips and we're going to secure it on top of the shank of the hook right at that 2/3 point. Notice that the length of the wing goes slightly past the body of the Skwalla. Now continue to wrap your thread forward on top of the CDC right behind the eye of the hook. Once you're there, we're going to add a little bit more dubbing to our thread and then wrap that back to that 2/3 point. And once we're there, we're going to regather our CDC and then pull it back on top of the shank of the hook, wrapping it and securing it on top of the shank of the hook at that 2/3 point. Snip off the excess so that there's only a small tuft that's left behind. And snip off any excess CDC. And next we're going to add the legs. Secure them loosely on top of the shank of the hook and then adjust them on either side. Once they're adjusted and they're where you want them to be, secure them down nice and tight. Once they're nice and secure, add some high vis foam, securing that down right on top of the shank of the hook where we secured down the legs. We're going to add a little bit of dubbing to our thread, wrapping it around the foam, and then whip finishing. Once you've whip finished, snip off the excess thread and the excess high vis foam. Next, we're going to trim down the legs to size, and once they're right where we want them, we have ourselves a CDC Skwalla.